The conference room fell silent when Daniel Morrison introduced me as just the housewife to his newest client. 3:47 p.m. Tuesday. The glass-walled executive suite of Morrison Tech Solutions, overlooking downtown Seattle. Elena handles the domestic side of things, Daniel said, not looking at me. Keeps the home fires burning while I build the business. Richard Chun, CEO of Chun Industries, potential $10 million contract, smiled politely. His eyes held questions. I was used to that look. I wore a cream cardigan from Target. My wedding ring was simple gold, nothing flashy. My hands rested on my lap, fingers interlaced. I'd learned to make myself invisible in rooms like this. Your wife attended the meeting? Chin asked. She insisted on coming. You know how women get about spending time together. Daniel laughed. Elena, honey, why don't you wait in the lobby? This is business talk. You'd be bored. I stood, smoothed my skirt. Of course. Mr. Chun, it was nice meeting you. Chin rose, shook my hand. His grip was firm, respectful. The pleasure was mine, Mrs. Morrison. But let me rewind. 6 months earlier. That's when the facade started cracking. 6 months earlier, the smell of fresh paint and sawdust filled our new house. Daniel had insisted on the upgrade. 6,000 square feet in Bellevue. Gated community. His name on the deed. This is what success looks like, he said, walking through empty rooms. Morrison Tech is going to be huge, Elena. I can feel it. I said nothing. Just watched him plan where his trophy wall would go. We'd met 8 years ago. I was finishing my MBA at Stanford. He was guest lecturing on startup culture. After class, we talked for 3 hours. He was brilliant, driven, full of ideas. I was the daughter of Sofia Navarro, but I didn't tell him that. Not then. Not for months. My mother built Navarro Enterprises from nothing. A cleaning business that grew into commercial real estate, then venture capital, then a conglomerate spanning 12 industries. I'd grown up watching her work. Watching men underestimate her. Watching her smile politely while destroying them in boardrooms. Be invisible until you're indispensable, she taught me. Then be undeniable. When I finally told Daniel about my family, we'd been dating for a year. He proposed 2 weeks later. I should have seen the sign then. The housewife routine started gradually. Daniel's company was struggling, bleeding money, losing clients. He came home stressed, angry at the world. I need to focus, he said. Can you handle the household stuff? Just for a while. So I did. Canceled my job interviews. Put my MBA in a drawer. Became the supportive wife who kept his life running while he salvaged his dream. Except I didn't just keep house. I used my maiden name, Elena Navarro, to quietly consult for 3 of his competitors. Analysis work, market research, strategic planning. The money went into accounts Daniel never asked about. I also started watching his company. Really watching. Morrison Tech had potential, buried under Daniel's ego. He made flashy decisions, chased trends, ignored fundamentals. His board, 5 men he'd known since college, nodded along with everything he said. They were heading for bankruptcy within 18 months. I told him once, gently, over dinner. Suggested he might consider restructuring his approach. Elena, you're sweet, but you don't understand business. He patted my hand. This is complicated stuff. Tech industry moves fast. You just focus on what you're good at, making our home perfect. I never mentioned it again. 3 months before the Chin meeting, I attended Morrison Tech's annual gala. Daniel's idea. Show the investors we're a solid, family-oriented company. I wore a dress from Nordstrom Rack. Did my own hair. Smiled at the right people. Daniel spent the evening with his arm around his VP of sales, Catherine Price. 26, Yale MBA, ambition sharp enough to cut. Catherine's brilliant, he told a group of investors. She understands the vision. Unlike some people, he glanced at me. She gets what it takes to win in this industry. Catherine laughed. Daniel's being modest. He's the genius. I just execute his vision. Her hand rested on his arm. Too familiar. Too comfortable. I excused myself to the restroom. Checked my phone. My mother had texted, board meeting next week. Time to come home. Not yet, I replied. Soon. When I returned, Daniel was telling the story of how we met. His version painted me as the starry-eyed student, him as the successful entrepreneur who saved me from academic life. The real story, that I'd had 3 job offers from Fortune 500 companies, that my thesis won national recognition, that I'd chosen love over ambition, didn't fit his narrative. So it disappeared, like so much else. Which brings us back to now. To Chin's office. To Daniel dismissing me like hired help. I walked to the lobby, sat in an uncomfortable leather chair, checked my watch, the Cartier my mother gave me for my MBA graduation. I only wore it when Daniel wasn't around. For 15 p.m., the board meeting at Navarro Enterprises started in 45 minutes. My phone buzzed. Text from my mother's assistant. Car is waiting in the garage. Northwest corner. Your mother suggests the blue Armani. I smiled. Changed clothes in the car. Kept an outfit there for occasions like this. The blue Armani suit fit perfectly. My hair came down from its modest bun. Diamond earrings replaced the simple studs. By the time I walked into Navarro Enterprises at 4:52 p.m., I looked nothing like the housewife Daniel had dismissed an hour ago. 12 board members stood when I entered the room. Ms. Navarro, they said in unison. Welcome back. My mother sat at the head of the table, silver hair pulled back, eyes sharp as ever. Sophia Navarro, 72, still commanded rooms like a general surveying a battlefield. Elena. She didn't smile, but warmth touched her voice. We've missed you. I took my seat, the one that had been mine since I turned 25, since I proved I could run a division without my family name protecting me. Thank you for your patience during my sabbatical. Marcus Webb, our CFO, cleared his throat. Ms. Navarro, we've reviewed the Morrison Tech file you sent. Your analysis is thorough as always. The file. I'd sent it 3 weeks ago. 40 pages detailing Daniel's company, its assets, liabilities, potential, and fatal flaws. Most importantly, its valuation. Morrison Tech was worth $3.2 million on paper. With proper management, it could be worth $50 million in 3 years. Morrison's current trajectory leads to bankruptcy, I said. 16 months, maybe 18 if he lands the Chin contract. But even that just delays the inevitable. Unless, my mother prompted, unless someone intervenes. New management, strategic restructuring, proper board oversight. I opened my laptop. I'm proposing Navarro Enterprises acquire Morrison Tech's 70% stake. We install our people, guide the company properly, turn it profitable. And your husband? James Park, head of legal, asked carefully. Daniel keeps his title. CEO in name. He's good at presentations, at selling vision. He just shouldn't be making actual decisions. I met their eyes. He'll resist initially, but he's desperate. The Chin deal fell through this afternoon. Silence. How do you know? Marcus asked. Because Chin called me 20 minutes ago. He's an old friend of my mother's. She asked him to meet with Daniel as a favor. Chin wanted to invest, but Daniel spent the meeting talking about himself instead of listening to the client's actual needs. I pulled up my phone. Chin's exact words. Your husband is brilliant at talking, less brilliant at hearing. My mother's lips quirked. And you can fix Morrison Tech? I can. I've been consulting for 3 of his competitors under my maiden name. I know this industry inside and out. I looked around the table. Daniel doesn't know about my work. He thinks I spend my days cooking and cleaning. You let him believe that, James said. Not a question. I did. I wanted to see who he really was. What he valued. I closed my laptop. Turns out, he values the image of success more than actual success. He values his ego more than his company. And he values a wife who makes him look good more than a partner who could make him better. The words hurt to say, but they were true. What do you need from us? My mother asked. Authorization to make the acquisition offer. Daniel will receive it tomorrow morning. The terms will be generous but non-negotiable. I straightened. And when he agrees, because he will, he has no choice. I want operational control. He can keep his office, his title. I'll work as special advisor. He won't report to me on paper, but every major decision will require board approval. And the board will be you, Marcus, James, 3 of our best strategic operators, and me. I paused. Daniel gets 2 seats. He can keep his college friends if he wants, but they'll be outvoted 7-2 on everything that matters. Marcus whistled low. He'll fight this. He'll rage. He'll threaten divorce. He'll call me every name he can think of. I kept my voice steady. But he'll sign, because the alternative is watching everything he built crumble. And Daniel Morrison loves exactly one thing more than his pride, his company. The offer arrived at Daniel's office at 9 a.m. the next morning. I was home, in my cardigan and jeans, when he called. Elena, did your mother? He couldn't form complete sentences. This offer. From Navarro Enterprises. Did you know about this? What offer? I kept my voice light, confused. They want to buy Morrison Tech 70%. They're offering $4 million. But with these terms, restructuring, board oversight, operational controls, his voice rose. This is a hostile takeover disguised as investment. Maybe you should take it to your board. My board? They're idiots. They'll probably vote yes just because it's money. He was pacing. I could hear his footsteps. Elena, I need you to call your mother. Talk to her. She likes you. Maybe she'll listen. Daniel, I haven't spoken to my mother about business in 2 years. Not since you asked me to focus on supporting you. But you could. I'm just a housewife, remember? I don't understand complicated business things. The silence stretched. Elena, honey, I didn't mean, you know I value everything you do I? Of course. You're amazing at what you do. Running our home, supporting me, what I do, I said quietly, is make your life possible. I manage your calendar, your meals, your dry cleaning, your social obligations. I smile at your colleagues while you introduce me as your little housewife. I sit quietly while you explain my own mother's business to me. That's not fair. I have an MBA from Stanford, Daniel. I graduated top of my class. I had job offers from Google, from Goldman Sachs, from McKinsey. I gave them up because you said you needed me. I didn't need you. I still need you. Then maybe, I said, you should have treated me like a partner instead of a prop. I hung up. The board meeting happened 3 days later. Daniel's college friends voted to reject the offer. The motion failed. He came home that night, defeated, angry, found me in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. They voted against me. My own board. He slumped into a chair. Catherine abstained. Can you believe that? After everything I've done for her career. I said nothing. Just kept chopping. Elena, I don't know what to do. If I reject this offer, we're bankrupt in a year. If I accept, I lose control of my company. Maybe losing control is what the company needs. He looked up. What? You're brilliant, Daniel. Your vision is incredible. But you can't execute. You chase every shiny trend. You ignore cash flow. You hire people who agree with you instead of people who challenge you. I set down the knife. Maybe someone else should steer while you focus on what you're actually good at. Inspiring people. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I've been watching you run this company into the ground for 3 years. His face went red. You, how dare you? Sign the deal, Daniel. Swallow your pride. Let Navarro Enterprises save your company. Or don't, and lose everything. I met his eyes. Your choice. Daniel signed the acquisition papers on a gray Thursday morning. I watched from the observation room, one-way glass, hidden from his view. My mother sat beside me, silent. He still doesn't know, she said. Not a question. No. He thinks I'm at a cooking class. On the other side of the glass, Daniel's hand shook as he signed. His college friends had already resigned from the board. Catherine sat beside him, her face carefully neutral. The new board would be introduced next week. That's when everything would change. The following Monday, Daniel came home early. 3:30 p.m. I was working at the kitchen table, laptop open, reviewing Q3 projections for Morrison Tech's restructuring. I closed it quickly, but not quickly enough. What are you doing? He moved closer. Just some emails. Elena. His voice was dangerous. What are you doing? I could have lied. Should have lied. But I was tired. 8 years of making myself small. Of hiding. Of pretending. Working. I said simply. Working on what? I reopened the laptop. Turned it so he could see. The Morrison Tech file, marked confidential. Navarro Enterprises, board use only. His face went white. How did you? I'm on the board, Daniel. I'm the special advisor mentioned in the acquisition terms. That's impossible. You don't. I don't understand business. I stood. I've been consulting in this industry for 6 years. Under my maiden name. I've made $2.3 million. That's how I paid for half this house. You just never asked where the money came from. He gripped the counter. You've been lying to me. No. I've been working. You assumed I spent my days doing nothing but housework. You never asked about my life. Because you said you wanted to support me. I did support you. Every single day. I ran your home, managed your life, freed you to focus on your company. My voice rose. I also kept my own career because I'm not interested in being an accessory to someone else's ambition. An accessory? Elena, I gave you everything. You gave me nothing I didn't already have. My family has more money than you'll make in 10 lifetimes. This house, I could buy 20 of them. Your company, I could have purchased it outright years ago. I stepped closer. I stayed because I loved you. I hid who I was because you needed to feel like the successful one. Daniel's legs seemed to give out. He sat heavily. The board meeting. Tomorrow. You'll be there. I'll be running it. This is insane. You're my wife. You can't. We can't work together. Why not? Because you can't handle reporting to someone smarter than you? Or because that someone is a woman? Or is it specifically because she's your wife? He had no answer. The next morning, I entered Morrison Tech at 8:45 a.m. Not through the lobby, through the executive garage. My parking spot was next to Daniel's. I wore the blue Armani. Hair down. The Cartier watch. Diamond studs that cost more than his car. The elevator opened on the 15th floor. The boardroom. 12 people waited. My mother. Marcus Webb. James Park. For senior operators from Navarro divisions. Catherine Price. She'd accepted our offer to stay on, reporting to me now. And Daniel. Sitting where he always sat. Head of the table. That's my seat, I said quietly. He stared at me. This woman who looked nothing like the housewife he'd dismissed. Everything like the businesswoman he'd never imagined I could be. Elena. It's Ms. Navarro in this building. Stand up, Daniel. He stood, moved to the side chair, where I'd sat 100 times as just the housewife, visiting her husband's office. I took my place, looked around the table. Good morning. For those who don't know me, I'm Elena Navarro, Special Advisor and Majority Stakeholder Representative for Morrison Tech. We have a lot of work to do. The meeting lasted 3 hours. I laid out the restructuring plan, new product focus, cost controls, market repositioning, real deadlines with real consequences. Daniel tried to interrupt twice. Both times, I spoke over him. You'll have opportunities to contribute, I said. But right now, I need you to listen. His face was red, humiliated, angry. Good. Let him feel what I felt every time he dismissed me. 3 months later, Morrison Tech had turned its first profit in 18 months. The Chin deal, restructured, refocused, was signed. Revenue was up 43%. Daniel and I barely spoke at home. He'd sleep in the guest room. I'd work late. We moved around each other like ghosts. Finally, on a Friday night, he found me in my office. I want a divorce. I looked up. Okay. That's it. Just okay. What do you want me to say, Daniel? That I'll fight for a marriage where my husband resents me for being competent? That I'll go back to pretending to be less than I am? I closed my laptop. I loved you. I would have built empires with you. But you needed a cheerleader, not a partner. You lied to me. I protected myself. There's a difference. I stood. You get to keep your title, your salary, your office. You'll even get credit for the turnaround. I'll make sure of it. But Morrison Tech stays with Navarro Enterprises. And you stay away from operational decisions. This is my company. This is a company you built and nearly destroyed. I saved it. You're welcome. I moved toward the door. The divorce papers will be fair. You'll walk away comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. And you get everything. I already had everything, Daniel. I just let you think you gave it to me. 6 months after the divorce finalized, I stood in Morrison Tech's new headquarters. 22nd floor, downtown Seattle, glass and steel and possibility. Catherine was COO now. She turned out to be brilliant when she stopped trying to impress Daniel and started actually leading. The team is asking about the holiday party, she said. Your mother suggested we do something for the families? Good idea. Make it nice. These people built this turnaround. My phone buzzed. Text from my mother. Dinner tonight? Your father wants to hear about the Singapore expansion. I smiled. Typed back. Wouldn't miss it. Through the window, I could see the city. Seattle in winter, gray and beautiful and full of life. Daniel had started a consulting firm, Morrison Strategies. He was good at it. Talking, presenting, inspiring. Someone else handled the actual strategy work. We'd been right for each other once. Before he needed me to be small. Before I got tired of shrinking. My assistant knocked. Ms. Navarro? The 4 o'clock is here. The Stanford MBA students you're mentoring? Send them in. 6 young women entered. Brilliant, ambitious, full of fire. They reminded me of who I'd been. Welcome, I said. Before we start, I want to tell you something my mother taught me. You will meet people who need you to be less than you are. Who need your silence to feel powerful. I looked at each of them. Those people are not your partners. They're obstacles. What do we do about obstacles? One asked. I smiled. We build around them, over them, through them. We don't shrink to fit their narrow vision of who we should be. We talked for 2 hours. About business, about ambition, about being underestimated and turning it into advantage. When they left, I stayed in my office. Looked at the city again. Somewhere out there, Daniel Morrison was telling someone his story. How he built a company, lost it, rebuilt himself. Let him have that story. I had mine. The quiet housewife who was never quiet, never just anything. Who waited, watched, learned. And when the moment came, stood up and took her seat at the head of the table. Not because she had to prove anything, but because it had always been her seat. She'd just been patient enough to let everyone else realize it.